Previously on No Reserves Radio.
Oh my God, Angelo! Come on, have some self-respect. The Eagles can't hurt you if you don't constantly pander to them.
Here's the biggest indictment of Dame that I can say. Dame has been so off this year that Ren went on live air and said Jalen Brunson deserved an all-star start over him.
You are now Angelo Didululo.
Do you think it is possible that the management of the Memphis Grizzlies are just buying into the reckless youth movement and they got rid of the one person in the locker room that probably was telling Ja to knock it off?
Because he's taken advantage of me multiple times when I was younger. That sounded bad. Holy shit.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think you're correct in that assessment.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of No Reserves Radio. I'm your host, Angelo. With me, as always, is Alex. And Alex, we did not end up giving up 30 points to the Cowboys. If we had, we would have lost. How's that make you feel?
Hey, how's it going, guys? How are you, Angela? Yeah, I mean, you guys didn't, thankfully, because not only did it mean that you guys won the game, but you also covered the line that was 5.5 for us as well. So that's a dub for me in that regard. But yeah, kind of a fun game. I do not understand why we still keep pushing on this weird sort of games. Like this week was The Simpsons. I watched a few minutes of that game, and it just really took away from the entirety of the game, just in general. Maybe it's more of a kids thing. I don't know what's your take on the whole cartoonish type of games. I know we've had The Simpsons this week, but there were other type of games like this before, of animated games where they had characters and whatnot. I think there was one with Madden, if I'm not mistaken. So, what's your take on that before you delve deep into what you thought about your Bengals versus the Cowboys? Because I like the performance overall. I think you guys were sort of bailed out by that punt, but at the end of the day, the best team won. The offense was clicking yet again.
I know, and that's kind of the issue I have is once again. Great game overall by Joe Burrow. He did throw the one. I didn't actually get to see the pick, but I know he did throw one interception.
Yeah.
I just think it's concerning it takes that level of performance to beat the fucking Cowboys. Let's be real. And it's not like it's last year's Cowboys. The Cowboys that won 11 games whose defense was performing out of its mind. The offense was playing well. It's the Cooper Rush led, barely trudging waters Cowboys that I don't even know. Is Turbin the starting running back? Who's even the starting running back for the Cowboys right now?
Rico Dowdle.
Rico Dowdle. So are the Bengals playoff hopes still technically alive? Sure. If they win out, great. I just want this to be over because I know they're not making it. You can't convince me they're going to beat the Steelers. Unless, you ever watched Space Jam?
Yeah.
Unless the entire defense takes, Michael's secret stuff and figures out how to play defense, I just don't see it. And I can't even say, okay, well, it's the running game. It's because we lost Joe. Chase Brown has been playing out of his mind, dude.
Oh, yeah, I've been loving Chase Brown. Chase Brown in my money league. He's been money. Oh, boy.
Do you remember in the offseason, before we went into the season, and we had the discussion about the Bengals running back, and you were on Zach Moss, and I was on Chase Brown, and you were like, I made the selection. Your argument kind of convinced me. So how does my argument look now, Alex?
Hey, I did not make the selection. I got him traded to me. So that's different enough. But I'm liking it. I'm liking the final outcome. Like it's the only league in which I got him. And he's been a beast. I mean, that's a league in which I drafted, if I'm not mistaken, it was only David Montgomery and James Conner as my running backs. Those were that basically, but I drafted an elite wide receiver core with Puka, with Garrett Wilson, with Drake London as well, with Terry McLaurin, added in Pickens as well, and Olave is still on IR. So that's been my core, and I've been going basically. That was like one RB basically, because it was fab. It was a fab auction basically, and I've been basically going one RB and try and build on that. So Chase Brown was like a blessing coming from these guys. Him and Tyron Tracy alongside Bijan, in which I made a deal to get. I've been beaming, man. That's a great trade. That's a great team that I have there. So yeah, thanks for the Chase Brown advice because it was the trade in which I got him was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Michael Pittman and it was someone else. Oh, it was James Conner, Michael Pittman, and James Conner, and I got back Trey McBride, Chris Olave, and then he wanted to offer me a running back, which was Tajay Spears to start, and I said, drop it and give me Chase Brown, and that's how I got Chase Brown, and that's how Chase Brown has been killing it for me. So
That's how you did it.
I'm on the hunt right now. If I win that league, that's around $550 coming back. Only money for first and second place though.
So that's all. I like leagues like that, man. I like
Yeah.
leagues like that.
Last year it was only money for the first guy coming in. So this year I have at least a chance if I come second because you know my playoff luck. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm kind of pumped by that. I lead the league in points. I was the first seed, so let's see how that goes. I have a bye this week to at least rest up a bit. My nerves. Okay, but we're not here to talk about my fantasy league. We're here to talk about the games. So you liked your Bengals performance good enough because the defense at least showed some juice, managed to get some stops. You got lucky on that special teams break, but I guess that's part of being a team that wins. So you need a part of luck in there. So that was good. And it's technically your hopes are still alive. Like you guys are sitting at 5-8 right now. The last team making the AFC are the Denver Broncos, sitting at 8-5. So you're 3 games behind. I don't know how the tiebreakers work in this situation. You guys do need something to happen because you also have, if I'm not mistaken, Miami is ahead of you guys by a game. They're 6-7. And Indianapolis is also ahead of you guys. They're also 6-7. So those are the 2 teams that you have to worry about.
To be fair, though, I mean, those aren't exactly that doesn't exactly scream consistency and confidence as far as like I could see the wheels falling off for either of those teams. I wouldn't wish it
Yes.
upon him, but Tua could go down again. And I don't know why. It just seems like Miami's offense is just not clicking. Like I'm used to seeing it click. And not only that, we're in the cold part of the year. So their offense usually struggles more this time of the year too. Anyway, just naturally. So I could see the wheels
I
falling off. The problem is like I don't know if I have confidence in the Bengals winning out. I really don't.
Yeah, it's not like cakewalk either. You
So
guys are facing
so
the
a discussion.
Titans this week. No, go ahead.
Lions, we could win. Go ahead. Let's go through this
Oh,
first.
okay.
Sorry.
So Titans, then you get the Browns. So it's at Cincinnati. But
I
it's
think
versus
that's a
the
trap game,
Browns.
but I do think we could win that.
Okay,
There's
then you have Broncos. That's like the biggest game for you guys. You get
yeah,
the Broncos. It's in Cincinnati. And then the final game is probably the toughest one because it's at Pittsburgh.
So I I think it would be dependent on if Pittsburgh has clinched because that's the last game of the year, right?
Yeah, that's the last
I
game of
think
the
it
year.
would be dependent on if Pittsburgh has clinched anything. because if they're still fighting for something, that game is going to be like nasty, nasty, nasty. If not, if they have clinched something, then maybe. I actually kind of like our chances against Denver too because I, our offense. I don't know what can stop our offense, and that's the most depressing part about it. That so I think it was Austin brought this conversation up, and he asked me, you know, we look and we talk about, the MVP race. We're talking about Josh Allen. We're talking about Lamar Jackson. Does it annoy you to watch Joe Burrow play the way he's playing and not get even in the conversation when he's putting up like league best numbers? And honestly, yes, it kind of does. Take the record
Yeah.
out of it. Tell me Joe Burrow does not at least deserve to be in that conversation.
Oh, he most definitely deserves it. I don't think there's really a question about that. But I guess it's just hard when you have that sort of record. Like, because if you are the most, I'll put it like this: this is the most valuable player. So you are the most valuable player to your team. That means that you're basically the engine, and everything around your team is codependent on you. Therefore, every result that your team gets should also be attributed to you. I guess in that optic, in that logic, it's quite hard to give the MVP to the guy that like is on a let's imagine you guys end up with a losing record. It's hard giving that award to a guy that didn't make the playoffs as a losing record. It's a bit like giving the MVP to the team that lost in the NBA Finals, which has happened before, but it's just so hard. Even if like there's a player that like works his ass off on the opposite end, and it's really just him, like a LeBron with the Cavs in his first stint, or AI versus the Lakers back in the early 2000s. I guess it's really just hard in that sense, in which you have to justify giving the MVP to a guy that like didn't win enough or make the playoffs in this case. So I understand why it's frustrating in terms of stats, but when you look at the bigger picture in terms of like outcomes and results, I guess it makes some sort of sense because like at what point do you just like, for example, the Jameis 30-30 season, I guess it's not the best example, but it did have great stats outside of the interceptions, the 30-30. But it did have great stats just in general, but I understand. Like he's having a great season. If they had a winning record, he would be in the MVP discussion. Heck, he maybe probably would be leading or at least tied with Josh Allen. But I understand why he's not getting the votes, even if that's a bit like heartbreaking. Not heartbreaking, but like unfair.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just rough. It's just a rough year to be a Bengals fan. Just rough.
Isn't it every year a rough year to be a Bengals fan?
No, no, it's not, man. No, it's
The
not.
Super
Not with
Bowl
Joe.
one was good enough.
It was a very good game, man.
I'm looking at the projections right now for you guys, and funny enough, I think that it might, even if you guys like clean the rest of the way, like Indianapolis has a really easy schedule. Not gonna lie. Like I gave Indianapolis a loss in the last four games. Only one loss because they faced the Broncos this week. But then they faced the Titans, they faced the Giants, then they faced the Jags. It's like giving them a 3-1 record in the rest of the year, giving you guys a 4-0 record the rest of the year, and I believe I gave the Broncos only one win, if I'm not mistaken. One win, yeah, one win the rest of the way because they have a tough schedule. They are facing the Colts this week, then the Chargers, then they are facing the Bengals, and then they finish up with the Chiefs. So like giving the Broncos one win, giving the Bengals all of the wins, and giving the Colts three more wins, it would put the Colts in the playoffs, not you guys. Funny enough, I didn't do the rest of the schedule, but I believe like every other team has over 9 wins at this point. So at least in the projections here, they have quite accessible games. So you're in a tough matchup, I'd say. In a tough spot.
You don't say.
You need basically the Colts to drop games as well. It's not just the the Broncos that you need to take care of.
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's just rough.
Speaking of teams that are well positioned to make the playoffs, though, how about my Seahawks? Though, how far can this team go? Because this team has some juice in it.
The team does have some. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Hey! Last 3 games, just so you know, the last 3 games, our defense has really stepped up. We are second in terms of points allowed per game. We are first in 25 plus yards played allowed. So in terms of like the explosive plays, we are allowing the least amount of explosive plays in the league in the last 3 weeks. In terms of yards per play, we were allowing the fourth lowest amount of yards per play. So the defense has stepped up somewhat. The O line is playing better. Gino is slinging it a bit. I mean, if we get fully healthy, do you think we win the division at this point? I believe we have a 2-game lead on the division.
Do I think you win the division? Ooh. No, man, the 49ers are winning it.
Oh, we're still going with the fucking 49ers, man.
It's a joke.
Jesus Christ, dude. Like this game is going to be interesting on Thursday night. Because it is the Rams versus the Niners. So that one is going to decide a whole lot. If I'm not mistaken, we still need to face the Rams? Question mark? Yeah, it is the last game of the season. It's versus the Rams. And that's the last divisional matchup that we have as well. But we have a tough schedule to end it because I guess we'll know. We'll know if the Seahawks team is for real or not. Because the schedule coming up is quite brutal. It's Green Bay, it's Minnesota, it's the Bears, and it is the Los Angeles Rams. That's the last 4 games that we have.
Sounds pretty rough, buddy.
It is quite rough, but I do think that we can pull something off here. So I'm kind of excited about this. This team has some fight in it, and Mike McDonald is developing as an head coach. The team is showing more fight. They're playing better on defense. Offensive line is running better. I have hope. Let's see if it just goes as well as like all of the past years. Okay, that's both of our teams discussed right there. I guess the other big game of the week, as we were talking about, and this is why we didn't record the second show, because we were in here to record, but the energy levels were quite low. Angelo had worked way too much in 2 days, and he was tired out of his mind.
Yeah,
My soccer team lost a massive game to us, so I was quite pissed off as well.
not the soccer team, man.
Yeah, the soccer team.
Even knows the goddamn soccer.
What?
I said no one in the U.S. even knows a player from your goddamn soccer team.
They know one, I guess. Maybe.
I guess
The striker for my team, which has been making rounds because of his celebration, Gyökeres, Victor Gyökeres. Like he has the celebration in which he puts his hands across his mouth like a mask from Bane. I believe it was Giannis Antetokounmpo that made the same celebration. Yeah, so that celebration has at least been making the rounds out there. That comes from my striker. My striker made that one.
Good job.
But yeah, that's a bummer. Like the team was running flawlessly, and then Manchester United came and took our coach. So now we're like, it's imagine if, and then this is like the wildest thing ever. This is how soccer works. Imagine if and we were like, no doubt, we have one of the best teams that I remember that ever played for us We had not lost a game, either in Portugal or in Europe, in like the biggest competition, the Champions League. We had lost nothing. And the team was running perfect. Like we beat the best team in the world, which is Manchester City. We beat them 4-1. Manchester United comes in and takes our coach. And it's very similar to like imagine if Andy Reid was coaching the Chiefs and was on top of the world, had just won the Super Bowl, was tearing the league apart, and then the Carolina Panthers would come in and offer him like double the amount of money that he was making, and he was like, "Okay, bye, I'm leaving the Chiefs to go to the Panthers." Can you imagine that? Like in the NFL, in the middle of the season.
Middle of the season?
Yeah, it's like it's literally it's closer to the early part of the season, but it was in the middle of the season basically that they did that to us. So yeah, they came in, they offered double the amount of money that it was getting there. They paid this clause because like there's a release clause and like players and coaches contract here. They just took it. Can you imagine if that happened in the NFL? Just like Carolina coming in there and just like paying money to the Chiefs and paying double the salary to Andy Reid, and Andy Reid being like, "Okay, yeah, I'm going. Bye."
I mean, wouldn't you? If it was you?
Sure, like that's the argument that I get a lot, which is like, yeah, they offer them double the money, but the thing is, maybe yes, because like the salary that I make is probably not even comparable to like a tenth of what he was making here. Heck, maybe even a hundredth of what he was making here. That's like that argument sort of doesn't work with me when the guy is making like $4 million a year. Like he was making $4 million, now he's making 6 or 7. And as he said it himself that it wasn't because of the money. Now, of course, they always say that, right? But he said that he was making more at Sporting than he could ever make, that he could ever spend in his life. It was just about the project and the size of the team, which makes sense in my end. But it's still like the timing is just like it would be like if the Andy Reid left Chiefs to Carolina Panthers in the middle of the season because of the project, but like he could have left at the end of the season after winning another Super Bowl. And the Panthers would probably be waiting there because the Panthers are mediocre, much like Manchester United is currently. Like they've been a very shitty team for quite a while now. So
I always thought Manchester United was good.
they are like football royalty basically, but like they haven't won a league title, so like a Super Bowl in like what 10 years, 13 years. Like they have been very badly run. They've been run like the Panthers, for example, or they've been run like I don't know what's a team that was good and was ran into the ground. I don't know. I don't know if you can say about the Washington Commanders before this ownership, but it's like they just had bad ownership. They've had bad players, diva players, players that just aren't good and are getting overpaid and are just like partying and whatnot instead of actually training. Meddling ownership, just not giving enough time to the people to develop their programs and whatnot. So it's very much a bad ownership thing. So it's not that Manchester United isn't extraordinarily good. It's more like they have been a graveyard for young, exciting coaches to go in there and just like perish.
And just, Jesus.
Hey, perish in terms of their career. No one is in there. I think.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah,
That sounds
and
really
like
bad. I'm not gonna
people
lie.
just people just going in there. I don't know. I'm venting right now. That's
Okay,
about it.
you're venting. You're
Because
venting.
like yeah, because like imagine if then those Chiefs that had like the best team in the league, they would have gone ahead and hired I don't know, like Bill Belichick's son as the head coach. Because that's the level of stupidity that we have here. We hired the guy that was coaching the B team that had no experience. It's like if they went and they got a coach from the Canadian Football League that had no experience in the NFL and they just grabbed him and put him in charge of the Chiefs. that's basically what happened to us. So now we're playing like shit.
Doing so good. So
enough of soccer. Okay, the Rams and the Bills. The Rams are back.
Oh, this game. Yeah, the Bills defense did their best Bengals impersonation. That's for damn sure.
They probably did better than the Bengals even. They allowed how much? They allowed over 4,000
It felt like
400
that. It felt like that.
400 yards. Yeah, just every time you looked, it was just like, oh, Puka Nacua is running there. Oh, Puka Nacua has a touchdown. Puka Nacua ends this game with 162 yards receiving, one touchdown. Then he has another touchdown rushing because he went 5 for 16 on the ground as well. Kyron Williams had like 30 carries as well, so they really dominated the groundwork there. I believe they also led time of possession. Yeah, the time of possession was nearly 2-1. Like the Rams had 38 minutes, the Bills had 21 minutes. Like the Bills still played okay, but the defense really let them down. And it's like I don't know if it's getting better in the turnaround spot in which they have to face the Lions this week coming up. All right. But yeah, like this Rams team. Like, if this Rams team makes the playoffs, how dangerous are they?
If the Rams make the playoffs, I'm picking.
Yeah.
I'm picking them in most games. Like, do not underestimate Sam Bradford with weapons and Sean McVay coaching. Do not underestimate that.
Did you say Sam Bradford? Or did I
Yes,
get that
Sam
wrong?
Bradford, Matthew Stafford. My bad. Matthew. I think I did say Sam Bradford. Listen,
Oh my god.
Sam Bradford needs some love too, man. Come on now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, do you not think they would be a trap game for any first round team? Is this?
Oh,
Is
I
this not?
definitely think so. I think they would. I'm looking at the team. Let's assume they make it as a wild card team. Let's assume the Detroit Lions win the division and they finish the division in first, so they have a first round bye. So you have the Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the division winners right now. I think they would beat any one of those teams, quite frankly. I especially think they would beat the crap out of the Eagles.
You think they beat the crap out of the Eagles?
I think I'm gonna go back to the Eagles are winning, but they're not winning good enough.
Oh
Because
my God, this again.
I mean, they should have lost that game versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm just saying.
Alex has the same playbook. The Eagles are winning a lot of games this year. They're not winning impressively enough for me.
We talked
Meanwhile,
about this last week about the Ravens. Like, they didn't play good enough versus the Ravens. They still won that game, never looked like they were going to win it, but they won it in the end. And this game versus the Panthers, like they were down for a good chunk of this game. They were down to the Panthers for a good chunk of this game. I was like,
oh,
they were down in going into the fourth quarter, they were down in this game. They were down 16-14, if I'm not mistaken. Then they scored a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to put them up 6. And I mean, the Panthers really like if Bryce Young had guys that could catch the football outside of Adam Thielen, the Panthers would have won this game.
I don't know.
Like, he had the passes. He was making the plays. He got the ball,
He was
the place
making
that
the
he needed
plays.
to go, and
He did look
Xavier Legette
good.
dropped the football. Like, if Xavier Legette catches that ball, like they're beating the Eagles. Like we're sitting here saying that the Eagles have issues because they didn't look good versus the Ravens, and now they lost versus the Panthers. And we would all be sitting here criticizing Nick Sirianni, but because they lost, because Xavier Leggett can't catch a football, we're saying that that's okay, and the Eagles should like get a pass because what? They're the Eagles. That's it.
This guy.
I don't know. Are you
Nick
not at
Sirianni
least?
might be one of the most interesting coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you still employed? I guess
Oh my god!
that's what you're saying by interesting.
Listen. At the end of the day, the NFL is a results-driven league. Does Nick Sirianni win games?
Yeah, I guess when they don't
I
matter.
guess. Hold
When they
on.
don't matter, he sort of does, right?
Nick Sirianni record. What is he?
Oh, he's at least what?
64 and 45. Or no, 45 and 19. I was looking at games. Sorry. 45 and 19. Like what are we talking about, Alex?
What's his record in the playoffs?
Do I have those numbers?
It's probably 2-1.
2 and 3.
2-3. So it's what I'm saying. When the games matter, it sort of just
I mean,
goes
he's
down the
got more.
drain.
He's got 2 more wins than Marvin Lewis, and Marvin Lewis coached for the Bengals for a decade.
So yeah, your basis of comparison is a guy that coached the team 20 years and never got a playoff.
Damn straight.
So versus
I'm
that
just
guy, it's like everyone is good, just so you know. Like in the postseason, everyone is good against that guy. You could grab Jeff Fisher, playoff record, and it's probably better than that guy.
yeah, probably.
So is Jeff Fisher the solution for your team, Angela?
I mean, he
Is
might be.
Jason Garrett the solution to your team, Angela? Because I'm fairly certain his playoff record's probably similar enough or better. It's just not the basis of comparison. It's like, are you not at least the slightest bit worried about the Eagles team? Is it just like all sunshine and rainbows for you?
Yeah, it's all sunshine. Yeah.
So you think they're just going to cruise through? They're going to reach what the
No, no,
playoffs
no.
are?
Just sunshine. Rainbows suggest that there was rain. It's all just sunshine.
Okay. So do you think they're what making the Super Bowl? Is it that?
They might.
Oh, they might. Okay. So when do the playoffs start? When do they play their first game? I'm just going to put a reminder here, so we talk about this when they're eliminated. So okay, so in I guess 5 weeks because it's still 4 weeks in the season. Then it's the playoffs. Then we talk about it. In 5 weeks, we'll reassess to see if you still think they have a chance at making the Super Bowl after they're eliminated on the first round by like I don't know the Commanders or some shit.
Such a hater.
This team just doesn't inspire me any sort of confidence. It's just like everyone seems to be blinded by the fact that oh, they're the Eagles, and it's plus like the amount of crazy like not interact, but the crazy amount of like locker room, I don't know, intrigue that goes in there. It's like now you're seeing reports. I saw them yesterday of AJ Brown is not dealing very well with the whole amount of like the offense is really discombobulated and he's not really getting any sort of work. So now his relationship with Ertz really isn't the best. I believe it was Brandon Graham talking about it as well. It's not just some guy that has no insight on what's happening there, but it's like now that his numbers are affected, this is like I believe if I'm not mistaken, since week 9 he has only had 2 games over 100 yards. So like in the that's what 6 games sample, only 2 games over 100 yards, only 1 touchdown, only one game with over 5 catches for AJ Brown. It's like they're winning those games, and even then, it's like things aren't really clicking in that offense in that locker room. They seem to be mad at each other for some reason right now. I don't know. Like it's really a discombobulated team in my eyes, and it's a team that's just not going to win anything.
Team that's
Not,
not going to win anything.
not even a playoff game.
Not even a playoff game?
No, you can book it right now. They're not winning the playoff game.
Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs?
they're set for the playoffs. So if we're not talking about playoffs now, I don't know what we're going to talk about then. But yeah, they're not winning a game in the playoffs. That's for certain. Another team that might not win a game in the playoffs because they're probably not making the playoffs at this range, it's the Atlanta Falcons. Do you change your stance? Is it time now for Michael Penix to come in?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, probably. I mean, I said if they lost the game to the Vikings, what would happen? And you were pretty adamant that it would still be Kirky time.
Listen.
Back-to-back games without a touchdown pass for Kirky.
Back-to-back games without a touchdown pass for Kirky, indeed. Yeah, it's just been rough. It's just been rough for the Falcons.
Hey, I'm sorry, not even back-to-back games. That's 4 straight games without a touchdown for Kirky. And in that stretch, is that 8 interceptions. 8 interceptions in 4 games, no touchdown. The yardage is still there. Like he threw for over 340 yards, but no touchdowns, 2 picks. I don't know. They have Las Vegas, they have the Giants, they go at Washington, finish up at Carolina. If they lose versus Las Vegas, I sort of think that they might be done.
It's going to be pretty hard to lose against Las Vegas. I couldn't name you all the weapons for Las Vegas right now. It's
Sincere
Brock Bowers.
McCormick, Angela. We talked about him.
Who?
Sincere McCormick, the new starting running back for the Las Vegas Raiders. We talked about him just
Oh,
a bit ago.
man.
So you know the name. You have to remember the name.
I have to
Sincere
remember
McCormick.
the name.
Yeah, that's the name. Sincere McCormick, as well as Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers. Apparently got like supplanted by Michael Mayer out of nowhere. It's like Michael Mayer comes off of whatever he was dealing with, and he comes back and he has like 9 targets, 7 catches, 68 yards, and Brock Bowers is like 4 catches, if I'm not mistaken. So that was fun. Trying to really sick when players needed to win in their semi-playoff matchup. Like there were teams that needed to win this week, make it into the playoffs. They started Brock Bowers. They were not happy.
Hmm. I just I don't. What's Oakland doing, man? Like,
What?
what's Oakland doing? Or Oakland? What's Las Vegas doing?
I don't know. They're sort of playing football. They're trying to play football. They are trying to probably not win a lot of games. But yeah, it's an interesting thing that's going. Is Antonio Pierce fired after this year?
Doesn't he kind of have? So, hmm. I think he kind of has to be, but at the same time, like, look at their offense. Look at their the weapons. Do you do you really blame Antonio Pierce? I don't know.
I mean, they
Uh,
had Devontae Adams when the season started. If they were just bad as they were, they would still have Devontae Adams. That's kind of the thing, right?
I mean, yeah.
If they were good enough, they would still have weapons.
If they were good enough, they would still have weapons.
Now, the thing is, if you fire Antonio Pierce, you probably need to fire whoever made that decision. Do you fire the GM or do you fire the players? Especially like Max Crosby, for example, who really stood his ground and said that he wanted Antonio Pierce as his coach. Who do you fire? Do you fire the GM or do you fire the players that stood by Antonio Pierce? Because this, for all intents and purposes, looked very much like a player's pointing here. Because like Max Crosby was threatening that he was going to ask for a trade if Antonio Pierce wasn't kept. It's like, did the players make this decision or was it the GM? Yeah, it looks like the players.
That, that's an interesting discussion. Huh. I kind of do agree with you. It is kind of, but you also have to understand the context. You have to understand what the then Oakland Raiders had experienced with John Gruden because they had a coach. Who is his name? Who was the coach that they wanted to promote before Gruden?
Mm, I know before Gruden, Jack Del
Because
Rio
there was
was
an
in
interim
there.
coach who stepped in. He did well. I think he was a defensive coordinator, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on. Now I'm gonna. I was not
I
prepared to be
know
talking about the goddamn Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders, so I didn't look at this stuff up beforehand. Hold on.
I know the
Raiders
Raiders. They had
coaching history.
Jack Del Rio. I know they had Jack Del Rio, who was a DC, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's the guy that you're referring to because he got
No,
appointed
it's
as an
not.
head coach. Okay.
No, it was someone who
John
was
Pagano.
Pagano. Yes, he was the interim head
Okay.
coach after Jack Del Rio got fired.
Okay.
They wanted to hire the players wanted him hired. Then they got Gruden. Then you obviously saw what you got with Gruden, and then this happened. And then Gruden got fired. They had another situation where the players did not want to because a lot of these players are the same players that we're talking out. Then they didn't want to go back to, well, we're going to hire another flash in the pan mega star coach. So I understand the perspective from both sides. The question is, what do you do now? How many coaches are the Raiders paying right now?
Well, that's an interesting one.
It is an interesting conversation. Thank you.
Are the Raiders paying right now? Because I know for sure Gruden and they're paying Antonio Pierce, of course. I don't know if they're still, I believe they're still paying Josh McDaniels. And that's probably it. I don't think they're still paying Jack Del Rio. So it's going to be just Josh Daniels, John Gruden, and yeah, now Antonio Pierce.
So, how much is too much?
Well, that's an interesting one. Um, yeah. Like, until when are they paying Josh McDaniels? When was the contract? Do they get like money until the contract was supposed to run out? Is that how it works?
Uh, I'm actually not sure how.
I would imagine that's something similar. He signed a 6-year deal worth approximately 10 million per season in January 2022. So if they need to pay him like every penny in that deal, I don't know how that works. But it would be until 2028. So until 2028, they're paying McDaniels. They're probably still paying Gruden because that was like a 10-year deal or something like that back on like 2020. So, yeah, like until 2028 at least they're paying two coaches plus whoever is currently coaching for them. If they fire Antonio Pierce, you're until 2028, you're paying 3 coaches at least. So that's fun. You're paying 3 coaches plus the one that you need to hire. So they're effectively paying 4 coaches. I guess it's probably too much, especially for a franchise that doesn't have the most money in like the league. It's not the Bengals, but it's also not like the Dallas Cowboys.
It's not the thing. That
Well,
would
you
make
guys are like quite cheap.
We are. Can't even lie. We are very cheap. It's, except when it comes to Joe Burrow and paying offensive linemen that don't pan out.
What do you? I forgot to ask. What do you make of the Joe Burrow comments about keeping T Higgins? Because that made the news.
I did not see those
Um,
comments, so
you did
it would
not.
be live.
Okay. So basically, after the game, in the post game conference, he was at the podium, and he basically dropped it almost without like anyone really asking directly for it. That he thinks they're going to keep T Higgins around, or that he hopes or that he believes. It was some language like that. That he believes they're going to keep T Higgins around, and that he's going to do everything that he can to make sure that they keep T Higgins around. That was like pretty much out of the blue.
I mean, if he's willing to take the pay cut, sure. But I mean,
Like if he was willing to take the pay cut, he probably does it when he was signing the deal. Because right now the pay cut, I don't know if you can even take a pay cut after the deals are signed in the NFL.
yeah, that's true.
Because like
I mean, he can defer it, I guess, but
yeah, but the thing is, with Cincinnati, is never really about the salary cap. It's really
mm,
about the money itself. It's like it's paying up those bonuses. That's signing
that's true.
contract. Yeah, that's like the big thing in Cincinnati. And if you're shifting money around, it's like you're moving salary that you are making to signing bonuses, then you need to get the money immediately. And that's even more money that you need to now dish out. And you have to give extra money to Joe Burrow before time, and you need to give extra money to the Higgins as well. It's a bit like if you have a company and it's like you have his deal in which you need to pay out. I don't know. If he's making, let's say, like if he's making $10 million in base salary, every game that he plays, he has to get a part of those 10 million. It's like it's the 10 million divided by the amount of regular season games or games in total that you are playing. So like every game you get a paycheck, and it's basically you need to get those $10 million out across the season. If you restructure his deal, you need to grab like what 8.8 out of those 10 million, and you need to give it to him upfront immediately. And then instead of paying him a check for every game, dividing those 10 millions by the 18 games, you're only dividing like 1.2 million by those 10 games, and then you need to give them a check for that. So like money wise, in terms of like money flow situation for the Bengals, it's probably even worse if you're structures because there's even less money to go around.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I don't really know. Like,
You're not wrong.
he's going to Jamar Chase and he's going to say, "Hey, bud, you know I love you. Can you take a pay cut?" Jamar Chase is going to look like him and think, "Why didn't you take a fucking pay cut?" It's like, yeah, because I need my money, Chase. I need my money. Unless he's going around and he's saying, okay, Chase, take a pay cut and I'm going to give part of my money to you. That's the thing that he can do, or like do that to T. Higgins. Like, you take less money, but I sign a contract with you and you become like, I don't know, maybe he can become like his house sitting since the girl that was doing his house sitting while he was playing versus the Dallas Cowboys apparently didn't do a great job because the Dallas got fucking robbed when he was facing the Cowboys. So maybe he goes and he signs a contract with T. Higgins, giving him money to sort of quote unquote babysit the house. Now you won't
This guy.
the house, but maybe that's how he gets around it. Like T. Higgins signs a contract with the Bengals and with Joe Burrow.
I don't know. I think regardless, we need to address the defense. I think.
How you think?
I think
Huh.
I yeah. I think. I just think it. You just can't. If this shows anything, you just can't.
I thought it
We
was
just
quite
can't
good.
keep doing this. We just can't keep doing this.
Here I was thinking it was actually doing that the defense was actually playing good. Hmm. Interesting.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So other than that, um hmm, there's like two games that we really don't need to talk about, which is the Saints and the Giants. Like nobody
Giants.
gives a shit about that. Like thank God the guy missed the kick. I guess that's the thing. So the Giants are now the number one pick in the NFL draft.
There you
Congratulations
go.
to the Giants because they missed a kick. Similar enough, the Jags Titans game. Yeah, can't really say that I watched more than like 10 minutes of that, and even that, it's probably too generous. So yeah, the 3-10 team going versus the 3-9 team going versus the 2-10 team really doesn't bring anything out for me. Uh but we also have the Packers Lions. I believe we talked about prior. I guess we can talk about the plot protection, about the Chargers and about the Chiefs in the
Oh boy.
Chargers
Go
Chiefs
ahead.
game. Huh?
Go off, King. Go off with your plot protection.
I mean, they have plot armor at this point. It's like you don't even sweat it. It's like you're watching Game of Thrones or whatever, and you're not even concerned about the main character. And that's it. Watching the Chiefs game, you're watching the Chiefs game, and you're not even worried about the Chiefs. Like in this case, everything just going to work out for them. Like they're going to make the kicks, they're going to make the plays, and I guess part of being a great team is winning the close games. It's just like you have that ability to not lose those types of games. It's like when you need to make the right plays, you make the right plays. I believe they have won every single one possession game that they faced so far. Well, that is true because like they only lost one game and it was not a one possession game. So but it's like a lot of those games were under one score as well. So it's like I guess that's the mark of a great team. And I heard the clip of Brady saying that as well, which is like this is what great teams do. Like they may not be playing the best football, sure. They may have issues here or there, sure. But when the game is on the line, Mahomes gets the football in his hands. They're down whatever. Like if they're down one score, Mahomes has the ball in his hands. He's going to make the plays. He's going to get into field goal range. He's going to make the touchdown. That's just what happens. Like if they need a field goal, they get a field goal. If they need a touchdown, they get a touchdown. That's just what's going to happen. And that's what happened versus the Chargers. They were down 17-16. They got the ball. They made the last drive. They got a field goal. The field goal like doinked in the in the crossbar, but then went in. Weirdly enough, and they won again. Flood protection. They won. They didn't cover, but like they're 4-8-1 ATS, but they're 12-1. Like they don't need to cover. Um, they are
So
just, I
where's
guess,
this
the same.
argument for the Eagles then?
What? Because the difference between the Eagles and the Chiefs is we're seeing all of this from the Chiefs. We've seen the Chiefs just like playing around with your food in regular season, but we've seen the Chiefs get into the playoffs, make the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. That's done. We've never seen the Eagles do that with the current coaching staff. So it's like they can play around with their food, but I don't really think it's because they don't care. I think it's more because like the team isn't really capable of more than that. Like the games that the Eagles are 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 having a tough game with, are having a tough week. it's not necessarily because they don't care. It's more because like they're having real issues on offense. They're having really real issues on defense. Things really aren't clicking. While I think the Chiefs, you can say that, but I think part of the bigger issue for the Chiefs is that they really don't care. So until I see the Eagles go into the playoffs, get dominating wins, go to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt. At the end of the day, it's quite simply just that.
It's like quite simply just that.
Am I wrong? And it's like,
Yes,
what have the Eagles ever done in the playoffs that
won
should
a Super Bowl.
justify, with the current coaching staff, with the current QB? I'm saying the Eagles as they are, not like the Eagles from 10 years ago.
Made the Super Bowl.
What happened in that Super Bowl? Who did they face in that Super Bowl, Angelo?
They faced the Chiefs.
And what happened in that Super Bowl? Who won?
They lost.
Okay. Okay. And who won?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Who am I giving the benefit of the doubt to?
Only one of the teams that played in that game.
The team that what in that game?
The team that won the game.
Okay. Perfect. That's all I need to do. The team that won the game and the team that has won yet another Super Bowl after that one, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to. The team that made that Super Bowl, lost that Super Bowl, and then went on to have an embarrassing performance in the playoffs last year, I'm not giving the benefit of the doubt to. Because they were also winning plenty of games last year. The offense were still doing the bare minimum, but it was because they couldn't do more than that to win games. And we saw it when you got to the playoffs. It happened exactly as I said it would happen. They lost immediately. And I have a feeling that this year is going to be the same exact thing.
Man, Alex is going to be real sad when the Eagles win that first game.
Oh, maybe I need to sit down and wait for that one, though. Okay. Is there any other game that you want to talk about?
No.
No. Yeah, this week was quite a letdown in terms of like the football was sort of bad in the early slate, was better in the seconds in the afternoon slate, and there were some talking points in the primetime games, but it was quite of a lacking week, I would say, in terms of talking points. So I think that's fine, and I guess jumping into the picks because I have a victory lap to do here.
Oh, Lord.
Are you starting to feel that this year is in danger? That you
No.
might not win this year?
Nope.
At one point, you had, well, so okay, let's count. You had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You had an 11 game lead against me.
I did.
Now, it's only 3 games.
Oh, no.
You
Not
lost this
3.
week for the first time, maybe ever. No, I think last year there was like one instance in which I also got a good result versus you. But you lost this week 9-4. So are you ready to think about your strategy of picking against me? Because it's clearly not been working out the past few, I don't know, since like what? You haven't won against me since week 10. Are you ready to rethink the strategy?
No.
Okay.
Unlike you, I have the courage of my convictions.
Your
Alex,
conviction sometimes seems to be just picking against me.
I don't sweat it if I'm wrong one week. You know, bad week.
No.
Bad week happens to everyone. Bad week happened.
Well, now
We go.
that's
We
5
move
weeks
on.
in a row.
We this guy. We kick Alex's ass next week. It's all good.
You haven't kicked my ass in 5 weeks, though. That's the concerning part. But this week, I went 9-4. You went, what, 4-9, I guess. But yeah, the overall number, currently I am sitting at 101, 124, because we're missing a game in here as well. and you are sitting at 104, 122. So those are, as things stand, right there. Both of us are around the high 40% mark. So I don't know if any of us is going to reach the 500 mark this year, but let's see. There's still plenty of games to pick. And it starts this week. On week 15, we have full slates of games for the entirety of the season. No more bye weeks. So we go. It starts with the Los Angeles Rams at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 3.5-point favorites. And quite simply, like, this is a divisional matchup. I don't like the Niners whatsoever. I feel like the Niners have a lot of issues going on. I feel like the smart side of this play is most likely the Los Angeles Rams. All of that said, though, in the coaching matchup between Sean McVay and
oh my God,
Mike.
Alex has brought out his advanced stats again.
No. None of that. None of that. It's quite a simple one. I'm trying to pick up the stat exactly just so I can see the record that they have head to head, because I am fairly certain that, like, yeah, Shanahan has a 10-5 record versus Sean McVay. I'm just gonna go with the coach that seems to own the other one a lot of times, and I'm gonna go with San Francisco minus 3.5.
Are you saying you think the 49ers are going to win the division?
No, I think that they're going to win this game.
Give me the Rams.
I hope you're right. Well, I guess 50-50. If neither made the playoffs, that would be a lot better for me. So, but yeah, I definitely think your side, after what we've seen the past weeks, is the right one. I'm just gonna go with the coaching matchup here, and I feel like Shanahan is probably.
I don't think it's a bad logical choice.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like,
how the mighty have fallen. The Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are favored by 1.5 points. Oh my God, I just read that right. Did I just say the Carolina Panthers are favored?
you did, and you would be surprised that the line is actually bigger than that right now.
For the Panthers?
It's Panthers minus 3 right now.
Oh my God. I think it's time for a change up here. I'm actually gonna go Dallas with this one. I do think that we are hyping up Carolina a little bit, which is fucking weird to say. How do you hype up a shit team? But I think Carolina is going to show its true colors, and I do think that even diminished, the Dallas Cowboys roster is still better than the Carolina Panthers roster.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Except give me the Carolina Panthers minus
Oh
one and a
my
half.
God.
This team, they are super close to start to hitting. I feel like Bryce Young most definitely deserves yet another year. Like, that was a great performance versus the Eagles. I am
Doesn't sound like
100%
the
sold.
Panthers fans.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I feel like Bryce Young has been playing better and better and better and better. The team around him is sort of letting him down at times as well, in terms of the receiving core and whatnot. By the way, we didn't even talk about it, but like the Jonathan Brooks injury, Jesus Christ, he can't catch a break. After the
Yeah.
ACL tear in college, he goes in there and it's like his second game back, and he just tears his ACL again. Same knee as well. Like, when I read that, like, my mouth actually just, like, my jaw dropped. I was like walking, and I was like, oh my God, because I knew it was something around those um around that type of injury, but I didn't know if that was going to be ACL again. It's like, poor guy. But yeah, even with the Jonathan Brooks injury, I feel like Shuba Hubbard has been great this year. He got the contract extension as well. I feel like if the wide receivers can step up a bit, and that's probably excluding Thielen, because Thielen has been playing great since coming back. I like this Panthers team. Plus, I'm getting like 1.5 points. more than what I would get if I was betting on the Panthers right now. Just give me the Panthers -1.5. I feel like it's definitely a much better team than the Dallas Cowboys right now.
Okay.
Okay, next up, Kansas City Chiefs at the Cleveland Browns. Oh, the the KC Chiefs are 4.5 point favorites versus the Cleveland Browns. Game is in Cleveland. Uh, I don't know. I I kind of want to pick the. Uh, it hurts to say, but I kind of want to pick the Cleveland Browns. I just I don't know. Like KC really can't cover numbers right now. It's a struggle for them to cover anything. So I guess just give me the Cleveland Browns +4.5, and I hope that Jameis doesn't turn the ball over too much.
I'm going KC here. I'm not overthinking this one. The Browns have been playing atrocious. Like I honestly don't know what you're on with this one.
It just they
I've been having a
it's
feeling
hard.
about Cleveland for the last 2-3 weeks, and I've been wrong every week. So don't.
I just struggle to see KC covering this number. Yeah, I just all I can think about is like they are most definitely winning this game. Is it by more than a field goal? I don't know. That's the thing. So give me the Cleveland Browns. That's basically it.
Okay, do you? Miami at Houston. Houston is favored by 3.5 points. This is a must-win game for Miami, pretty much, or at least it feels that way. Houston has been pretty hard to predict this year. I think I'm going to go with the three and a half
Shit.
points in Miami.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I sort of want to. Is Houston is indoors, right? The
Houston is
Texan
indoors.
Stadium. Yeah, the Texan Stadium. I believe that's indoors. The
Texans.
Honor G Stadium. I believe it has a retractable
Is
roof.
it has a retractable roof? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess yeah. If that's the case, then give me the Miami Dolphins. It's a game that I don't want to pick either side. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the line is dead on, but it's like the Texans are coming off of a bye. But Miami has been playing better football recently, I would say, outside of that Packers game, and that was in the cold. So yeah, give me the Dolphins +3.5. Okay, next up, it's the New York Football Jets versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh, buddy. The matchup of the 3-10 teams. Um, hmm. Give me. Oh, that one is an ugly one to pick. Give me the Jags, I guess. That's about as good as things are going right now. For the Jets, like the Jet teams just plays horribly. I don't know, like I see that Jets team and like everything just stinks around them. Now they might not even have Bryce Hall, that is. I don't know. That team is all over the place.
Yeah. I think this is going to be one of those like, is Aaron Rodgers playing or no?
He is.
He, you mean the Jets? I think it's going
You,
to be one of those like statement games where Aaron Rodgers is like, "See, it isn't me, but it's against a terrible opponent."
you could have done the funniest thing and just said, "Is Aaron Rodgers playing?" Yeah. So I'm taking the Jags. It's what you should have done.
Ooh, most interesting. Washington Commanders at New Orleans Saints. The Commanders are favored by 7.5 points. I actually think I'm going to go with the Saints here.
No Derek Carr, though.
No Derek Carr. I'm still going with
He's
the
on.
Saints.
He's on IR. He's going to miss the rest of the season. He broke his something on his hand. I believe it was the wrist. It was on the non-throwing hand, but he's still going to be out.
Oh, good. Chris Olave will be back next week.
I don't know if Chris Olave is going to be back for the 5-9 Saints without Derek Carr. I don't know. It's just a guess that I have, and I think like he's probably going to stay on the shelf. Give me the Washington Commanders. I feel like they've been playing much better ball ever since Jaden Daniels got a bit better from his first reps. He's playing better. The defense has stepped up. The offense is clicking a bit more. They also have Brian Robinson back. They're off a bye versus Jack Hayner and the New Orleans Saints. I'm just gonna go with Washington. Oh, the Baltimore Ravens at the New York Giants.
Oh, Lord. 14.5
points. And I'm gonna say right now, I've actually bet this one already. I don't usually take sides because I don't like just actually betting on the lines, the current lines. When I bet on sides, it's because I go with the the alternate line. So I just load up a bunch. And here I did exactly that. I went pretty okay-ish on the Baltimore Ravens minus 21.5. So I most definitely like the Baltimore Ravens minus 14.5. I could see this game being like, I don't know, dude, 45-7. I feel like they're just getting their doors blown open. The Giants will. They're playing Tommy DeVito. Ravens off a bye. I feel like this is going to be like a massacre. Give me the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know how you pick against me on this one. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
Baltimore. That's. I'm brave. I'm not that brave.
You're brave. You're not stupid.
And because of that, it's gonna. Oh God, it's gonna be a close game now. The Bengals at the Titans. The Bengals are favored by 5.5 points. So, Alex, I'm going to ask you a question. You
I'm waiting.
think that the Cincinnati Bengals defense gives up 30 points versus Will Levis?
I don't know if you give up 30. I definitely think you give up 21, but I also think your defense is going to score 7 or 14. So,
We scored 7 against Pittsburgh.
yeah. So you're most definitely scoring 7, at least 7 against Tennessee. On defense alone.
I'm going to go Cincy.
I'm right there with you.
I have a feeling I'm going to regret this in the future. You're right there with
I
me?
don't think so. I'm right there with you, and I don't think you will regret it. I feel like the Titans are really just like, you scored 6 points versus the Jets. I cannot rationalize like even touching the Titans with anything below, I don't know, 17.5 points. With the way that Cincinnati runs on offense. Like, even if Tennessee, I don't think that if this is a boat race, I feel like they're most definitely getting outraced, the Titans, that is. But even if they could somehow, like, keep pace, I can't trust Will Levis to go a game without making a game-breaking mistake and just, like, throw a pick six or something. So, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay.
You say so.
Hey, I was
You
right
know,
last week. I was right
you
last week, so
you
we
were right
pray.
last week. We pray.
Okay, the New England Patriots at the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are
No,
6.5 point favorites. That's a whole lot of points. Yeah, like the Cardinals are just like that weird team, which you never really know what you're getting at this point. They got wrecked by the Seattle Seahawks in like the first half. We just basically like cruise controlled until the end. After that, but the Cardinals, I think like they can bounce back when you least expect. But I do think that New England is going to show up, at least to some regard here. So give me New England plus 6.5. I feel like damn near a touchdown is a bit too much between these teams.
Hmm. Give me Arizona. I have a feeling that once again, Arizona to me has been like hard to predict this whole season. So I have a feeling this is one of those games where Arizona just comes out stupid hot and they just like this isn't even close. I have a feeling.
I could most definitely see that. Not gonna lie. But I feel like because again, as I said, they are so unpredictable that it becomes hard. But at the same time, I just feel like New England is good enough to not be laying that crazy amount of points. So okay. Next up, it's the Indianapolis Colts at the
That's
Denver
me.
Broncos. Oh no, that one is yours. My bad.
It's okay, buddy. The
Getting ahead
Indianapolis
of
Colts
myself.
at the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos are favored by 3.5 points. Is Anthony Richardson the Colts quarterback?
Most definitely. And they like Shane Steichen has apologized for benching him prior. He said that they made a mistake benching
It was the
Anthony
right call at
Richardson.
the time. Give me the Denver Broncos.
Mm, that's an interesting one.
Go on.
Mm, like I feel like Denver is going to win this game, and because it's just 3.5 points, I feel like I should go with Denver. But Indianapolis against the spread is quite decent. Like they always seem to back their cover some of the games that they're not on. So they always seem to make a lot of these games close enough to the point in which I sort of think that I'm gonna go with them. Really because I get that hook of the 0.5. So this if this is like a 3 point game, I make the win. I think Denver will win, but I'm hoping that Indianapolis can cover this one. If not straight up, just then like backdoor covering it. So because of the hook, I'm gonna go with Indianapolis. If this was 3 or 2.5, I go with Denver. At 3.5, I'm gonna go with the Colts. Okay, this one is me. So the Buffalo Bills go at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 1.5 point favorites. This is again another game that I'm going to take the alt spread on. I would take this game up to 7.5 probably for the Detroit Lions. I feel like this is just a schedule loss for the Bills. So they come off of a rough game, heartbreaking game that
Did
they
you say
lose
this is
versus
a
the Rams.
scheduled loss?
This is a scheduled loss, yeah. I most definitely feel this. Like this is a game in which they come off of the west of the West Coast, facing the Rams. I'm right on my coast, right? It's West Coast.
Yeah, yeah. The Rams are in
Okay,
LA. They're going to
they're
Detroit. Yes.
yeah, they're just traveling all the way down to Detroit or up to Detroit, whatever that is. But it's a long flight, right? I'm not crazy. That's a major flight. That's like
Yes.
from one side of the country to another. Again,
Yes.
again.
Yes.
So it's just it's. I feel like it's way too much. Like it's two away games. They lose this game by allowing like 44 points versus the Rams. Now they have to travel all the way to Detroit, face the Lions that are looking unbeatable right now. I don't know if what we saw on defense versus the Rams, it's something that it's going to keep happening, or if that was just like a one game thing. But I definitely feel like this is a very bad spot for the Bills. So give me the Lions -1.5. I would take this all the way up to 7.5 to 8.5, probably. I probably wouldn't take 10, but anything up to 10, I'm probably okay with. I feel like this is the game the Lions really win.
I'm gonna go with the Bills. I'm gonna go with the
You're
Bills.
always against me. Damn.
Always against what?
You're always against me.
No, I'm not. I picked with you 2 times already. What do you mean? You're always
Wait, wait,
good.
wait. Was
Good.
it two?
It
Was
is
it
two.
two? You picked with me on the Ravens. The other one I picked with you.
Yeah, same deal. Two
Okay.
times. So yeah. No, I do think Josh Allen's coming off scoring 6 touchdowns, dude. Like I think there's an actual chance that the Bills this is actually a trap game for the Lions. I can't
And they
believe I'm
lost
saying
that
that.
game, by the way. He scored 6 touchdowns and they lost. I feel like mentally that really takes a toll on the team.
I think they're gonna come out firing. I think this is gonna be a shootout, and I think Buffalo's gonna come out on top. So next game. Pittsburgh at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is favored by 5.5 points. I wonder which side you're going to be on.
You wonder which side. Hmm.
Give me the Eagles.
You picked the wrong side of Pennsylvania, bud. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's just like the correct side. I cannot trust the
Correct
Eagles to
side.
cover these big numbers. They actually fooled me last week because I was on the
They
Eagles.
fooled you?
They fooled me, and you fooled me as well. Like we were talking about this game. No, you actually were on the Panthers, but we were talking about this game, and as we discussed, it really felt like the Eagles were the right side of this. Like too many points, but it's still like the Panthers and whatnot. They come out completely flat. They do not even cover half of it. So yeah, in this game, I just give me the Pittsburgh Steelers +5.5. That feels like easy enough. I'm probably getting the better team even. So
You're not getting the better team. Stop this.
I don't know. We'll see which team goes farther in the playoffs.
Yeah, one's getting eliminated in the first round and one is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one team in green is getting eliminated in the first round, buddy.
No, they're not, buddy. No, they're not, buddy. One team has a quarterback, one team does not.
Yeah, the Steelers have a quarterback. The
Oh my
Eagles have a
god.
running back.
Oh,
We'll see. Okay. The next up, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are 2.5 point favorites in this game. I feel like this is where Tampa Bay sort of hits a bump in the road and they take an L here because I feel like the Chargers played well enough to win that game versus the Chiefs. Led McConkey could be back for this game. I like the Chargers. I like the Chargers. I feel like 2.5 is the right number for this. If it was 3.5, probably might go with Tampa Bay because of the fight that they usually have in terms of like trying to win those games and even when they're down and like by a field goal and whatnot. But like at 2.5, I feel like there's a whole lot of scenarios in which they try and, for example, they try and go for a two somewhere in that game and they miss that possession. So that means that, for example, they might be down like, I don't know, 3 to end the game. So they have to force for it the touchdown. And it's just like they fail on the touchdown. So give me the Chargers -2.5. I feel like that's just the right number for them.
so I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with all of that. I think that Baker will turn the ball over, and I think the Chargers are one of the most boring teams to watch, even though we gave up 30 points to them. So I am actually going to stick with you on the 2.5 on the Chargers. So
See, easy
next,
enough.
easy enough. So next up, Green Bay at Seattle. Green Bay is favored by 3.5 points. Fuck Seattle. I'm going with Green Bay. Easy enough.
I almost want to go with you because I feel like that's the right side, but I
Uh
feel like I'm way too big of an homer right now to go against my team. So everyone, listen to Angelo. Take a
huh.
side. Take the Green Bay minus 3.5. I am taking Seattle plus 3.5 purely because I am a Seahawks fan. So yeah, that's basically it. I'll take them because of that, and that's that.
You disappoint me, Alex. You
Hey,
just
I at least warned everybody to not follow me along on this one. So yeah. Next one. Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are 7.5 point favorites. Chicago at the half versus the San Francisco 49ers. They had 4 yards of offense.
they
Um,
did. I remember I
but there
watched that game.
was, yeah, but there was a point in that game after that, in the second half, after they started getting some points in, that it looked like the game wasn't totally like done for. And it looked like the Bears had some life. Like if had they been able to get a touchdown in one of those drives, they would be right in there. They couldn't close it. They couldn't close those drives to get those touchdowns, so they lost the game by a huge margin. But it didn't seem as big when they were sort of marching down and they were being able to put up some offense. So I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears plus 7.5. It's a divisional game. It's over a touchdown. I feel like they can at least backdoor cover this one. So give me the Bears plus 7.5.
I'm actually going to agree with you. Again, because it's a divisional game, and other than the Lions, the divisional games have been a lot closer
Yeah.
than this line would suggest. So simple enough. Last one. Oh Lord.
Double Monday Night Football this week. By the way,
Yeah, I think this one should have started, and the Bears Vikings should have ended anyway, or they should just sub this game out altogether. The Atlanta Falcons at the Las Vegas Raiders. The Falcons are favored by 4.5. I'm going the Falcons. I just
I
the
I
Raiders
think
don't inspire any confidence in me too.
I'm gonna be real. I don't love it. I don't love either side. I don't trust
Yeah.
Atlanta at this moment. I really can't trust them. But I feel like I trust Las Vegas even less right now. Plus, Aidan O'Connell, I don't know if he's going to start. It looks like it. But if even if he does, I can't believe that he's 100%.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta, kind of reluctantly. So, yeah, I'm a bit reluctant on picking any side. So I'm just gonna tail you along here. I'm gonna go with Atlanta. I feel like they have more to play for, and that's going to be the deciding factor in the end.
Yeah.
And that's that. Those are Week 15 games. They are in. Um, do we have anything else to do?
So, I know we haven't been able to talk about fantasy much, but the playoffs for most leagues are starting here soon. Do you have any advice on anyone in the playoffs?
Hmm. Okay. So for players in the playoffs, first I'll start with some players that I definitely think you should roster that could be lesser owned. I feel like at this point, a lot of the waivers are sort of oversaturated. So in terms of like immediate contributors, I feel like Sincere McCormick is probably a decent ad if it's still available in your league. I feel like a lot of players have probably had it those players, but he's at least a guy that is going to get. He's the starter, so he's going to get at least 15 to 20 touches. He's not the best. The matchups aren't going to be good. The team isn't good, but with 15 to 20 touches, you can do a whole lot worse. But I feel like at this stage, a lot of people might start to drop some of the interesting entries during the season, and at least in redraft. That's where I'm focusing on. So I'd say look at the Trey Bensons, look at the Braylon Allens, for example. I guess not right now because Braylon is starting, assuming Brees Hall is still out. But the Braylon Allens, the Trey Bensons, there's Blake Quarums, there's Kamani Vidals, even the Kendre Millers, for example, who played fairly well this week when he got the chance. I feel like those are all players that you most definitely need to be rostering at this stage because they are players that, if the starter ahead of them gets injured, they will get to work. And it will be much like I said about Sincere McCormick, they will get 15 to 20 touches. And that's those, there are not a whole lot of running backs out there that you can pick up and say that you'll be getting those touches from. So I feel like those are definitely guys that if you see your league mates dropping them, I would most definitely go and pick them up because they are interesting pieces to have on your bench, especially if you don't need starters right now. So Tyler Algier, Braylon Allen, Trey Benson, Blake Warren, Sincere McCormick, all of those guys most definitely should be picked up. Sean Tucker as well. Kamani Fadal, as I said before, Justice Hill as well. All of those guys you should at least have in the back of your mind, if not picked up. If you don't, you obviously don't have the space for everyone. I would start with the guy that is already getting those touches in Sincere McCormick. After that, I would look at guys in better offenses. So Trey Benson, for example, would be the next guy at the top of my list. Kamani Vidal as well. And probably close it up with Blake Warren. That's the top four order that I would go with. And then you could look at a Kendre Miller. So at running back, that's definitely what I think it's you should be doing right now at this stage, especially if you make the playoffs. If you didn't make the playoffs, I feel like it's sort of a dick move to go and pick up players when you're out of the playoffs. So I would avoid doing that to avoid any issues with your league mates. Um, but those are the players that I would pick up at running back. At wide receiver, it's quite thin, I would say. I feel like Marquez Valdez-Scantling is a guy that people are still slipping on because he's a guy that, much like Rashid Shaheed before him, he's a guy that can go and just get you, I don't know, 5 catches, break a big one free, get a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's back on week 10 when he got like 3 catches, but he broke two and he got 109 and 2 touchdowns. And that's enough to give you a top 10 wide receiver production right there. So I feel like that's a guy that you should probably be banking on. In a similar vein, I would go with Nick Westbrook-Akine as well, because
It
again,
seems to catch touchdowns.
yeah, he just seems to be like a Rashid Shaheed type of guy. I mean, we know how valuable he was to start the season. He has a gunslinger. He's going to throwing them the football. You just need him to get one or two of those big plays done for, and you get a massive amount of points coming from a guy that you just picked off of waivers. So if you need wide receiver, I would most definitely go with those guys. And then a Devon Avell, for example, I feel like gives you a good enough floor to the point that if you look at the past performances, he has had 10 or more points in 3 out of the last 4 games that he has played for the Broncos. So he's a guy that just the ceiling won't be there. So if you need the ceiling plays, you go with the other guys that I mentioned. But if you need the floor plays, I would go with a guy like Devon Val, for example.
Isn't it weird how we're gonna have another draft season, obviously. And I think it's just weird how we spend time, we evaluate talent, we check their production on the college field, and we assess their, merits basically based on how athletic they are, what numbers they put up in college. But at the end of the day, the thing that is the most important and the thing that makes a player great isn't necessarily their skill, their talent, their ability, at least in fantasy football. It is how much opportunity they get and what they do with that opportunity.
Yeah, especially at the running back position. I feel like that's just going to be it. Like if we look at a guy like Blake Corum, for example, which we sort of liked coming out of college, I think I liked him a bit more than you did. He
Yeah, for
wasn't
sure.
the most hyper athletic guy. His combine speed, like his 40, wasn't anything like to write home about. He has a few intangible traits that I quite like, but at the end of the day, you draft him because of opportunity. If he gets the opportunity, he's going to be the lead back. He's going to get, I don't know, 20 to 25 to 30 touches per game if he's the lead back, and the opportunity is always going to be king.
I guess that just makes fantasy a different animal, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, playoffs are starting this week. Best of luck to you guys in the fantasy playoffs. Most definitely. I know I'm going to need as much luck as possible because, as you may know by now, my playoff luck is always shit, especially in the leagues that I care about. I'm quite surprised that I managed to win the 32 team league last year. That's a breakthrough, and I made
Now
it
you're
to the
defending your
finals.
title. Now you're defending your
Now
title.
what?
You're defending your
Yeah,
title.
no, yeah, without running backs, it appears, because my running backs in that league are Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, and CMC.
Ooh, that is an ouch town.
Yeah. So, and despite all of that, I managed to beat Corey this week in a game that basically didn't matter by starting Tank Bixby and that one Julius Chestnut. If you remember that guy, he had 0 points,
I remember
but we
Julius
have
Chestnut.
Chestnut. That was my second starting running back.
Sounds
So
rough.
that was great. And I managed to beat him. And by the way, he is like I believe he has scored the most points in the league by like 30 or something.
Hmm.
So let's see how that goes.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's all I got.
Okay, so are we wrapping out?
We are wrapping
Wrapping
up.
up?
Wrapping
Okay.
up.
So thank you guys for staying up until right now.
Same.
Sorry, only one show this week. Let's see if we can go back to this next week coming up. But I hope you enjoyed the show so far. We talked a bit about everything in here, especially the predictions. We know you guys really like the predictions, so we try to stay on top of that as much as possible. You'll be listening to this before the game, so this comes out on Thursday. We're recording on Wednesday. So yeah, hope you enjoy this week. Hope you have a blast in the fantasy playoffs as well. They are starting. Hope you enjoy Thursday night football and the rest of the weekend of football. And yeah, really appreciate you guys coming on this journey with us again. I mean, the season is almost over. We're going into week 15. There's 4 more weeks left of football, counting this one. So yeah, really appreciate you guys. Hope you had a blast. I just want to ask you for a quick favor. Just make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to turn on the auto downloads as well. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. All of that really helps out the show, and it's free. And if you've been liking it, I mean, that's the least that I can ask you for. So please do all of that. Um, and we really appreciate it. And if you're on YouTube, just make sure to subscribe, like, comment. You've been doing that for quite a while now. So again, really appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed this one, and talk to you next week.
See you guys. Yeah. Like good.